讲到写作或者是 email writing， 我们都会想到文法、词汇或修辞，但有一个很多人都不知道的技巧，就是善用句子的长短来让读者能够有效的吸收。在这个单元中，我们会用写 email 为例子，来教大家要怎么有效的玩弄长跟短的句子。Hello， 欢迎来到 Executive Plus 主管双语沟通力的 podcast。我们希望带给大家最实用的沟通工具，包括了成功人士对全球市场的分享、职场英语的技能、跨文化沟通技巧与其他能帮助您成为出色领导者的工具。Hi, I'm Sherry, founder of Executive Plus. As a language trainer and certified coach, I've trained hundreds of managers from Fortune 500 companies such as Dior, Google, Deloitte, and Yahoo.And
I'm Nick, Director of Communication Strategy at Presentality.I've helped startups raise millions of US dollars in funding and train the executives of publicly listed companies to present on the global stage.
Welcome to the Executive Plus podcast,
where you can take your communication and language skills from good to great. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Executive Plus podcast episode.Today, we're going to talk about a bad habit that many non-native speakers have when it comes to writing, due to a misconception that to sound fluent, your sentences need to be longer and more complicated.
没有错，因为其实非常多非母语人士都会觉得说，我一定句子要写得长，或者我讲话讲得快，才能代表说我的英文是流利的。当你如果仔细去看很多 native speaker 他所写的文章，你就会发现This is absolutely not true. And this idea comes from Andrew from Presentality, and he wrote an article about this.
In the article, he's comparing the idea of the writing of native speakers versus the writing of non-native speakers, not from a grammatical standpoint. In fact, very often non-native speakers have much better grammar than native speakers. But the idea of flow in your writing. And I can see where this comes from. A lot of times when you're learning a second language, progressively you go from very simple sentences to increasingly more difficult, longer sentences. It's not as clear-cut as longer is better. In fact, to get your audience to enjoy your reading, there needs to be this idea of flow inside your sentences, inside your paragraphs. And the best way to achieve flow is to intermix longer, more complicated sentences with shorter, clearer, concise sentences.
其实真的是在我们可能从教育的 standpoint 来讲的话，我们从小嘛是先学短句，然后慢慢加。那如果你习惯考试的人呢，如果你看比如说多益啦，各种不同的考试，它的 reading test 一定都会有那种非常长的句子，要你去把它 break it apart， 然后去解析那个句子。所以很多人都觉得 that is the level that I have to get in order to sound fluent, right? 但是呢，其实刚刚 Nick 有所讲嘛，如果我们仔细去看一下真的 native speaker 他们的文章，你就会发现它其实是利用短跟长的句子。So而且这个很重要的一点是 it's the rhythm of the speech, the flow of the speech that makes a huge difference.
Now, there's a great example that Andrew gives where he breaks down sections of two best-selling books. One by Klaus Schwab, a German author who wrote a book called The Fourth Industrial Revolution.And this is someone who is quite famous in the World Economic Forum. German, not a native English speaker. And then he also looks at the writing of Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, the famed PayPal founder, now famous venture capitalist, wrote a book called 0 to 1. And he looks at the difference in writing style. These are both New York Times bestsellers. They are very well-respected writers, but you can definitely see that the flow in writing pattern and the thought process is quite different. I'm just going to share with you the way that Klaus writes. Of the many diverse and fascinating challenges we face today, the most intense and important is how to understand and shape the new technology revolution, which entails nothing less than a transformation of humankind. We are at the beginning of a revolution that is fundamentally changing the way we live, work, and relate to one another. In its scale, scope, and complexity, what is considered to be the fourth industrial revolution is unlike anything humankind has experienced before.
当然，如果你想要知道我们刚刚念是什么的话，我们都会在我们的讲义里面都会提供。Just to do like a really quick count when you're just reading this paragraph from this book, I realized that in each of these sentences, there's about 20 to 30 or above words in just one sentence.
Yeah, not only that, and one thing that you'll notice when you see it to be read, that was 3 sentences. All commas and conjunctions. There was no periods there, except for 3 times. That's 3 sentences.
所以我们就会发现，其实在这种很长的句子，对我们读者来讲，你必须得花一点时间去解析一下，他到底在讲什么。So let's take another example from Peter Thiel. This is in his introduction of his book. Whenever I interview someone for a job, I like to ask this question. What important truth do very few people agree with you on? The question sounds easy because it's straightforward. Actually, it's very hard to answer. It's intellectually difficult because the knowledge that everyone is taught in school is by definition agreed upon.
What you'll notice in Peter Thiel's writing, and again it will be more obvious when you visually see how it's written out, is that it's a bit more concise and shorter. That doesn't mean every sentence is shorter, but you'll notice a lack of commas, a lack of conjunctions. And what Sherry just read is 5 different sentence patterns that are this kind of intermix between a longer idea and then a short point, compared to Klaus Schwab's, where he uses a lot of commas, a lot of conjunctions to really draw out these long ideas. He thinks clarity comes from length, whereas Peter Thiel is looking at clarity per idea. If it's short, it's short. If it's long, it's long. But you'll also notice there's a different flow when it comes to it. And one of the main reasons that you'll see many non-native speakers use this longer sentence idea is a pretty basic worry.
就像刚刚 Nick 所讲的嘛，我们如果有长跟短的句子同时间这样子掺杂的话，你会发现对于读者来讲，你可以呼吸，而且你比较可以很清楚的了解你接下来要说什么，或者是刚刚那个句子到底在讲什么。So 有很多学生，当我在教书的时候，很多人就跟我讲说，他觉得他的 email writing 非常的不好，很好奇说，好，那 can you show it to me？ 那我就会看他们的 email writing， 我就会发现说，很多人认为他的 email writing 不好，因为他觉得他不应该用那么多那么短的句子，他觉得这么多短的句子放在一起 it makes him sound stupid, which I understand. Again, it kind of goes back to because of our education, we wanted the sentence to sound longer so that we sound more intelligent. 但是如果你发现有很多人开始就会说，好了 I don't want to sound stupid, let me make some long sentences in an email. 你就会发现你开始在念这个 email 的时候，每一个句子都越来越长，越来越长，反而你很难去了解。所以呢，这个时候呢，就算我们在做 email writing 的时候，跟写书一样，跟写文章一样，我们就要开始了解说要该怎么样把 short and long sentences put them together. 那我们今天想带给大家一些 example， 也就是我们想要来让大家听一听，比如说如果我们用全部长的句子去写一个 email message， 再用全部短的句子去写同样的这个 email message， 再接下来如果我们用长跟短句子混着用的话，听起来对于听者有什么不一样感觉？
So let's take a look at our first example, where this is a typical email that I would expect a non-native speaker to have written because they're mistaking the idea of being eloquent and articulate with being long-winded. An email may sound like this. Unfortunately, we cannot proceed with the next shipment due to the fact that our factory has stopped manufacturing products during COVID. We do not know when the lockdown will be lifted, but we will keep you up to date when we have more information. We are currently speaking to another factory in Germany to pick up where we left off, but the price of the product will be affected due to higher labor costs in Germany. In addition, shipping fees will also be affected, and we are calculating the exact cost. We will keep you posted when we have all of the information. Thank you for your patience throughout this long process. So as you can see, all the ideas are there. It's actually a pretty clear email, but if I looked at this email on my phone screen, it would look huge. It's very long. The ideas are there, but the ideas are all kind of lumped together in really big paragraphs.
所以让我们来听一听，如果我们全部用很短的句子来写同样这个 email message, what will it sound like? Unfortunately, we cannot proceed with the next shipment. COVID has caused too many complications. The government imposed a lockdown. We do not know when it will be lifted. We will update you when we have more information. We're working with another factory in Germany. They can produce the rest of the shipments, but higher labor costs will increase the prices. The shipping costs will be higher as well. We'll let you know when we have all the information. Thank you for your patience. 所以你大概可以感觉到这个是非常 choppy. Like it just sounds like you're stopping and you're stopping again, right?
Right. And this is why people assume that shorter sentences may make you sound stupid, because it sounds a little bit like you cannot complete a thought.
Yeah.
It's just like say something and then say something and then say something. But from an email format, if I looked at this on my phone, because it's a lot of short sentences, it's actually a little bit easier to process. It's not ideal for sounding eloquent or sounding professional, but it becomes a little bit clear. But the real magic happens when you start to intermix long and short, because you get a smoother flow. You don't have that choppiness. You also don't have that long, like, when will this sentence end feeling. You have a much better flow. And it also sounds a little bit more native, similar to the teal example. Let's listen to how that might work. Unfortunately, we cannot proceed with the next shipment due to the current COVID pandemic. The government is closing factories. We do not know when the imposed shutdown will be lifted. We are currently speaking to another factory in Germany to pick up where we left off. However, this will affect costs. Labor costs are higher in Germany, and shipping from around the globe has skyrocketed. We will keep you updated. As more information comes in, we will be in touch with new production and shipping dates. Thank you for your patience.
所以你就可以很清楚的感觉得到这个 example 它就会感觉这个 flow 非常的舒服。如果你在看 email 的时候，你也会很清楚的知道说不同的 paragraph 在哪里，还有它的这个句子它的 ending 是在哪里，你可以非常清楚的看到每一个 paragraph 它的 takeaway 是什么。We really recommend you guys to take a closer look at your email writing and see what it sounds like and what it looks like.
One quick rule that you'll notice in the paragraph that I did is if my main idea is long, my details are short. If my main idea is short, my details are long. And that will make it easier of how to break up your sentence. So when I wrote my first sentence, I wrote, unfortunately, we cannot proceed with the next shipment due to the current COVID pandemic. The government is closing factories. Long main idea, short detail. However, if I switch this and I say, this will affect costs, short main idea, then long. Labor costs are higher in Germany and shipping around the globe has skyrocketed. So short main idea, long details. If I intermix these, the flow's a bit better, but it also helps me to break up the sentences.
所以我们其实最终的目的地还是希望能够非常有效的把我们所想传递的 message 能够提供出去，能够传递出去嘛。所以如果我们把这个当作我们最终的一个目标的话， mixing long and short sentences to really helps us process a lot.
We hope this really helps clean up a lot of your writing. It gives it a better flow, and it's a lot more enjoyable for your audience. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
如果你喜欢我们的 podcast， 欢迎来追踪我们的主管英文 Executive Plus 的 Facebook。那也可以写信到我们的信箱 yourcareerplus@gmail.com。